Okay, people, Batman vs. Superman is in theaters. I have seen it, and be prepared, buckle in, because I got to tell you, it's a hot mess. And you could probably predict that by looking at the trailers. You could probably see that this is going to be a movie bursting at the seams with lots of ideas to kind of further a franchise, make some dollar bills for Warner Brothers, and all of that stuff is fully on display, and it's a little egregious. It's a little disconcerting, especially because this movie is just all over the damn place. It feels off in tone, it feels off in substance. There are some really big miscalculations with the character choices that they've done in here. I don't want to spoil the movie because I think that it's still worth you going and seeing and making your own kind of estimation of this film, but yeah, for me, I was really, really, really dismayed. And I think the biggest problem that I have with this movie, the biggest call out to how much I didn't enjoy myself, is that I don't care if I ever see this thing again. And I don't really give a crap about seeing Zack Snyder's Justice League movies now. And this is coming from me, who is actually a very big Zack Snyder fan. I loved 300, I thought Watchmen was great, and I actually loved Man of Steel. I liked the way that Zack Snyder kind of painted a brand new portrait of the Man of Steel. And I think that Zack Snyder's choices in the Man of Steel movie were actually really brave and unique. That being said, I think there are some nice kind of allusions and connections to the stuff that he was doing with Man of Steel, and in fact, I kind of wish that Zack Snyder had just done a real full-on sequel to Man of Steel and carried on with his vision to get us into this character a little bit more, to flesh him out before we jumped into too much movie in too small of a frame. You know, there's just too many different kinds of pieces in here. Everybody gets the short end of the stick. We don't get enough Batman, we don't get enough Superman, we certainly don't get enough Wonder Woman. Lex Luthor is completely thrown away and misused entirely in this movie. The way that Eisenberg portrays him, he comes off like a low-rent copycat of Heath Ledger's Joker, and that is just not Lex Luthor. This is not a guy that just accidentally falls into the ability to kind of create world-ending devastation. This is a guy that is very shrewd and very smart and has a lot of measured planning that goes into all of his insidious plots, and that's just not presented by Eisenberg's Luthor, and so the character just feels completely out of touch with even the rest of the, the characters that are propped up in this movie. It does not have the right tone, and it doesn't feel authentic. And that's what really hit me, is that there was all of this incredible source material that was just patently disregarded. You know, I mean, I get the auteur kind of sensibility. I understand kind of the indie kind of truthfulness and the artfulness that they wanted to craft and create with Man of Steel and now with Dawn of Justice. But you also have to kind of pay tribute to where this stuff all comes from, and you have to kind of honor some of that work. And I think they've done that a little bit with the new Batman rendering. I think Gal Gadot is quite cool as Wonder Woman, although it's a little paper thin. She doesn't have that much to do. Most of the cool stuff that she does, you actually see in the trailer. And that's a major problem for me, too. I mean, remember that trailer when we had Doomsday at the end and we had Superman asking Batman, is she with you? And he says, I thought she was with you. That's the movie, and that's how stupid the movie kind of feels, too. I mean, there's no real surprise. It's like scene for scene, kind of chronologically kind of presented in that trailer. That's just a truncated version of this entire movie. So there are very few surprises. You're just waiting for those beats to happen. And the greatest shame is that there are actually some pretty interesting surprises to a degree. I mean, I feel like Batman is very athletic and very, fun to watch on screen. But we've seen it. We've seen that action sequence played out over and over and over again through the trailers and through all of the internet gossip and all that stuff. Listen, I really want to spoil this movie. I really want to tell you exactly why I can't handle this thing. I mean, if I'm going to place this in superhero movie context, I feel that Spider-Man 3 was a more enjoyable movie. I feel that The Dark Knight Rises was a more enjoyable movie, and I was very disappointed by that. I feel like Bryan Singer's Superman Returns was a more enjoyable movie. And maybe that has something to do with the black and grainy kind of vibe of this whole movie. I mean, we just don't see Superman with any real sense of joy. And in the moments that we do, he just looks like a dopey, oblivious goofball, you know? And Batman is just not the world's greatest detective like he should be in this movie. There are stuff that other characters are finding out and discovering and presenting that Batman should have been the person to kind of bring to us. And yes, we see cameos of some other cool things, but all of that seems tacked on. There's way too many damsel in distress moments with Lois Lane, although I did like the relationship between Lois and Clark a lot more this time. I think that there was some real nice tenderness on display there, but it's undermined by this overwrought, super serious kind of silly tone that exists all the way through. It's just not fun. It's not particularly memorable, and the word that I use to describe this movie, and it breaks my heart to say it, is it's inconsequential. And these are some of the most prolific and iconic characters that humanity has created. And this is what Zack Snyder had. He had a toy box filled with Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. You guys know Flash has an appearance in there, Cyborg and Aquaman and Lex Luthor and Doomsday, all of these incredible toys in his toy box. And he makes an inconsequential movie. I am so dismayed. Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice gets a 4.5 from me. Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.